You imbecile.
Yeah?
You're still using Nintendo Switch in 2025. Are you broke? Have you lost your mind? You disgusting pleb? The Steam Deck is superior in every single way. What can you play over the Switch games? And I can just pirate them.
Alright, so I've been officially using Nintendo Switch for about 3 weeks now, and let me just say this. This has become one of my most favorite consoles to use in 2025. Despite there being a tons of other portable consoles that are, obviously more powerful and more expensive here in 2024, the Nintendo Switch is still reasonably relevant in 2024. Like, I'm scrolling on TikTok and Instagram and still seeing people get Nintendo Switches for Christmas, their birthdays, events. Like, this console is still popular. In fact, I'm pretty sure it literally just passed the PS2 in all-time sales, marking it at around 46 million, which is absolute crazy. I mean, considering it's been 8 years since this console has officially been released, and it's still popular in 2024, especially during the Christmas time. Now, with the Switch 2 right around the corner, a lot of you are probably asking this question: should you wait or should you just buy a Nintendo Switch now? Well, let's talk about it. So there are 3 things that I think the Nintendo Switch really hits on. Number 1, battery life. Number 2, portability. And number 3, sociability, which is something we'll talk about when we get there. Okay, so one thing that I think the Nintendo Switch really does excel at is battery life. There is no portable console out there that beats Nintendo Switch in battery life. Now, you can say this is due to its lower spec system as in comparison to its competition, but at the same time,
this is Future Blaze right here, and I realized that as I'm editing this video, I forgot to mention that AAA titles and some games on the Switch are obviously downscaled and quality is sacrificed to meet that 30 FPS standard. That is the reason why battery life on the Switch is so good while running some of these bigger games, is because obviously the quality is worse than its competition. So before you guys come hating in the comments, I did mention this in the video. Anyways, back to the video.
I'm getting 5 to 7 hours of playable time without a charger on the Switch. That's really a huge factor when it comes to portable gaming, because at that point, if you're only playing for like an hour off the system, then is it really that portable? Okay, so number 2, portability. Now, I feel like battery life plays a huge factor in portability. How long can you take the Switch off for it without a charge? As I mentioned in my previous point, we obviously know that Nintendo Switch excels at battery life. But aside of this, I just want to focus about how this console feels and how this console feels to hold in terms of portability. Now, the weight on this console is evenly distributed. It doesn't feel too heavy, and it doesn't feel like a brick in your hands. In fact, you could really argue that the Nintendo Switch is one of the best portable devices to hold here in 2024. Now, the controller ergonomics are obviously controversial. It's pretty obvious why Nintendo went with this design, because they wanted to make a portable console, meaning that you have to slide the Joy-Cons on and off, which makes multiplayer on the go even simpler. You don't have to make extra controllers or anything. I mean, if it's just you and your girlfriend or you and your friend, I mean, you could just slide both these Joy-Cons off and play multiplayer games together. So in terms of portability, yeah, this Nintendo Switch, it's pretty good at that. All right, number 3, sociability. This is one of the weirdest points I've ever brought in my video, but this is probably the point that Nintendo Switch excels at exponentially. It brings people together. This is literally why this console has still remained one of the top consoles to buy throughout the 8 years of its existence. It's because it brings everybody together. I mean, you can hook up 8 controllers to this system, 8 people playing Nintendo Switch, and the amount of titles that are multiplayer and family oriented for the Switch is crazy, which is obviously why buying a Nintendo Switch makes it such a great option, especially if you're trying to get the whole household together, or maybe a group of friends together, or maybe you're just trying to play with you and your girlfriend. Dude, the amount of titles that exist for the system that are multiplayer and that are orientated towards huge groups of people playing together is what just makes this console so advertisable. And that's honestly why I included sociability as one of my points. So I've said a lot of positive stuff about the Switch, but obviously it is 8 years old, so there's a lot of negatives that come with the Switch too. My first complaint about this console is the fact that you're getting a very old display. It's a 6.2 inch LCD 1280 by 720p 60Hz screen, and it's touchscreen. Well, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that by now. And on an OLED model, you're essentially getting the same resolution, but rather than having 6.2 inches, you get thinner bezels, which is a 7-inch, well, now a 7-inch display, and still 60Hz. Now, obviously, if you don't care about that here in 2025, then you can skip this part of the video. But I do want to highlight this and pointing out that, no, this is not a high refresh rate display, which can be viewed as a negative if you cared about it, but then if you don't, then obviously it doesn't really pertain to you. All right, so number 2, performance. Now, one of the things about the Nintendo Switch that I didn't like when it first came out was that it came with a Tegra X1 processor. This processor was originally released in 2015, and it shipped with the Nintendo Switch in 2017. And I just didn't think this chip was powerful enough to beat a Nintendo Switch at the time anyways. But to be fair, I turned out wrong because it's still holding up well in 2025. But when it comes to AAA games, that's where you really see Nintendo Switch start to struggle. Now, even with 30 FPS games, you're still going to see some frame drops in those AAA titles. But But outside of that, when it comes to just normal Nintendo titles and indie games, it performs relatively well. I mean, you're getting 60 FPS on a 60Hz screen. There's not really much to complain about if that's what you're looking for. But if you're looking to play those bigger titles, maybe you should look at another system. Number 3, Joy-Cons. This is a very debatable topic, but we have to bring it up in this video. And you're probably like, oh, well, why'd you bring it up in the negative side? And it's because, well, Joy-Cons can be seen in a positive or a negative light. I mean, there's always two sides to an argument, and Joy-Cons have really divided the Switch community. Some people have kept their OG Joy-Cons on their Switch, other people have obviously replaced them with third-party ones. But when it comes to Joy-Cons on the Switch, you're probably wanting my opinion. I'm going to tell you too, I'm 50-50. I'm sort of divided. On one hand, I do like the concept of Joy-Cons. I do like the fact that, Joy-Cons are each individually their own controller, which makes it easy. I mean, you just have to bring the Switch, the Joy-Cons attached on, and if you want to play it with somebody, you just remove the Joy-Cons off. But then, my main problem with Joy-Cons is the fact that, yes, a lot of people argue the ergonomics, but I would rather argue the quality of Joy-Cons. I mean, they just feel a little cheap and plasticky, and I know, trust me, to make this console $300, you have to cut costs somewhere. But then, these Joy-Cons also have really bad stick drift problems, and in some of the buttons they just feel kind of cheap in comparison to other third-party Joy-Cons. But then, my also main problem with Joy-Cons is the fact that to replace two Joy-Cons is $80. So meaning if you get stick drift in both your Joy-Cons, it's $80. If you get stick drift in one, it's $40. But my main question that I have for Nintendo is, are those two Joy-Cons really worth the quality of one Xbox or one PS5 controller? Now I get it. Technically when you buy two Joy-Cons, you're buying two controllers. But are those two controllers really add up to the cost of one Xbox or one PS5 controller? In fact, I think they cost more than an Xbox or PS5 controller. Now to be fair, there is other options for the Switch, don't get me wrong. But just for this point, we're just talking about the Joy-Cons that this console comes with. Should you buy a Nintendo Switch in 2025? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't. And that's just due to the fact that the Nintendo Switch 2 is right around the corner. I would rather have you save up your money instead of spending it on buying a brand new Switch on a device that's going to be way better than the Switch 1. But if you can't wait, then obviously if you're going to buy a Nintendo Switch here in 2025, I wouldn't pay the full retail price. I'd rather just go and look at the used market and see what I can get for this console. I mean, most of the time you can find these for around 150, 200, and if you're going for a Switch Lite, bro, you can find those insanely cheap on eBay. But outside of that, I just wouldn't buy a brand new Switch in 2025. Wait for the Switch 2. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.